Steve Dotto here. How the heck you doing this fine day? And welcome to Gray Matters, the podcast for baby boomers and Gen Xers, helping us lead a better life in this digital age. Co-host Viveka von Rosen in just a few moments has a really compelling interview with Dr. Sam Graber, and they're going to be talking specifically, and I guess this used to be a bit of a taboo topic. At least when I was growing up, it seemed to be a taboo topic. It was one of those things we didn't talk about a lot, even though we knew it was happening around us. They're going to be talking about the impact of menopause, specifically on entrepreneurs, and how it affects entrepreneurs, and how they have to protect themselves a little more effectively, be a little more conscious of their health and the changing nature of their existence. Now, while this might seem to be a fairly uni-gender topic, is that a right way to put things? Primarily for women. I think anybody who's in a relationship with a woman will also benefit from this conversation. We all know, certainly I recognize the impact that time of life has had on our family and on my wife's sense of well-being, on her, on how she sees the world, and on her energy, and all that combined. So this, I believe, is a worthwhile conversation. We are all going to be on one side or the other of the fence in understanding, dealing with, and coming to terms with the effects of menopause on either ourselves or on our partners or on our employees even, or our team and our staff. So the more educated we are, I think the better off we are. Would you agree? I think you would agree, and I know you will enjoy the following interview. Take it away, Viveka.
Hello, everyone. So this call is for the ladies. I mean, dudes, you can listen to if you want, but most of our audience, female audience, are women 50 plus, and we are all going through some part of menopause. There, I said it out loud, menopause. Which is why we have Dr. Sam Graber on the call today, because she helps high-achieving women, business owners, scale both their enterprise and their well-being, because success, as we know, isn't sustainable when you're running on fumes. So whether it's stress, sleep issues, or creeping signs of burnout, Sam can help you recalibrate before you actually break down. And right, for women, menopause is a wake-up call. It was for me. And men go through their own version of it. So I guess y'all can stay on the call if you want. Here's the bio. With deep expertise, not exercise, with deep expertise in metabolic and hormonal health, as well as mindset mastery, Dr. Sam helps leaders reclaim their energy, focus, and vitality so they can lead with power, confidence, and sustainability. She's here to remind you that your body is not your adversary. It's your greatest ally. So we can agree to disagree. When you align your health with purpose, you don't just extend your success, you elevate it. So I'm so happy that you're here to talk with us today.
Thank you. Thank you, Viveka. I'm so happy too. This is a topic that I just love, and I really thoroughly enjoy our conversations because we get into some of the depths, the goodness, the good, like the good savory stuff.
Yeah.
Because too much of this conversation is superficial, right?
It is. And I love what you say. And for those of you listening to this podcast, like, how much have you spent on your wealth management, business management, and we just ignore our health, or we focus on things like the dirty word weight loss, but we're not focusing on our holistic health.
Right, right. And we can spend so much time and effort and energy towards, accomplishing this wealth, whatever this wealth means to us. But unfortunately, so many people do it at the detriment of their health.
Yeah.
And then they have this wealth, they spend that on trying to get their health back. It's just it's a wild paradox, and it doesn't have to be an either or. It can be a both and,
Yeah.
but it must be deliberate.
And that is so true, because especially those of us who are in or moving towards retirement, not that we ever retire anymore, right? But those
Oh,
retirement years.
I'd be dangerous retired. I wouldn't know what to do
I
with
know,
myself.
exactly.
But yes.
You're so right. I think about my husband, who has spent
Mhm.
so much time and money operating and fixing, bad knees, bad back. And
Yeah,
he,
there you go.
right? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. But that if we can normalize some of this
Yep.
conversation and help people understand that you aren't just what you attain. Part of this whole idea of being alive is to enjoy this experience.
Yeah.
This is a unique experience, a human experience, and it's unique to you. And it can look like whatever you want it to look like, but you got to have a vision. I mean, you know the whole like you have to have a vision for your
Yeah.
business, your relationships, yourself, and your health is no different. And I would, bargain on saying that your health is really the critical foundation.
I think so.
Yeah, it really is.
Without
And it's
that,
not as complicated as we want to be, yeah, as we're told. Like
right.
everyone's making it like it's some big, huge secret.
Yeah.
There really are maybe half a dozen-ish
Yeah.
baselines that if you work towards those and really get them evened out and leveled up, the rest of it can kind of fall into place. But everywhere we go, it's like this world that is completely non I don't even know what the term would be. It's like it doesn't
Sustainable,
really
like,
fit into.
honestly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it doesn't fit into this nature that we are.
Yeah.
It's so devoid of nature. So we have to build it in.
So you said six things. Do you like my
Yeah.
six? Six
Ish.
things. What are they?
Yeah, in my mind, it starts with the metabolism. I know people think like that's so not sexy, and it's then unfortunately that becomes a what you weigh kind of thing.
Mhm.
But your metabolism is more than what your body composition is. It's literally what runs your entire
Yeah.
life,
Yeah.
from conception on. That metabolism is really it's the key factor. So I really focus with people on keeping insulin under control
Mhm.
and then looking at your parasympathetic versus sympathetic nerves,
Mhm.
nerve system, making sure that we build in some stress because stress is not all bad.
Right.
There's good stress.
Yep.
And then building in rest and recovery.
Yeah.
We've been taught to hustle, hustle, hustle. We just got to go, go, go. And if we're not hustling for our worth, we're being lazy.
Mhm.
Recovery is way underrated.
Yeah.
So that's another thing.
That's
Yeah, and
huge.
then I'm a real big fan of looking into working with our nature or with our cycles, even as postmenopausal women and as men, we have cycles. Now, men are more like a 24-hour clock, and we have a 24-hour clock,
Mhm.
but we have a clock that goes even beyond
Yeah.
that. And so it's like, yes, exactly. And knowing what that is and just being open to the idea that, man, there are some times where I'm ready to take on the world and I'm out there and I'm promoting. And then there are other days where I just don't feel it.
Yeah.
And I used to beat myself up and think, God, you're being lazy or,
Lazy. Yeah.
whatever wonderful chatter we love to say to ourselves. But once I learned more about cycle syncing and really getting in tune with our nature, it was a big shift for me.
That
Big
is
shift.
huge. And I never really thought about it before until
Mhm.
we had Karen
Yeah.
Joy Fritz on the show, and she brought that up, and I was like, oh
Yeah.
my God. Because I thought, morning person, night person. And it's interesting because I was
Right.
for sure a night person when I was younger, and I am for sure a morning person now. Sorry, mom.
Sure.
I used to like make
Yeah.
so much fun of her for being a morning person, and now I am one. But
Yeah.
but it's the cycles and the seasons.
Yes. It really is.
Yeah.
Yes, and then there's seasons in our life.
Yeah.
We've got the times when we were in more of a reproductive biology, depending on the person and how their hormones are all balanced. And it's just a fascinating thing to learn more about you.
Yeah.
And to be able to understand ourselves, I think, is where the real evolution and the real power in menopause comes.
Yeah.
Because it's like the energetic shift of estrogen, because we still have estrogen.
Right.
There are a few kinds that we actually are made up of.
Yeah.
And the kind that's more dominant just shifts.
Yeah.
And it's built in. I mean, this is like literally designed into us.
Mhm.
And it's not a void. It's not
Right.
like, these terms. Oh,
I
the terms like you're drying up basically. I just think it's the language we use is just absolutely asinine.
It's true.
It's not. It's horrible. It's horrible. And no wonder women feel depleted,
Right?
you know?
Yeah. And I love you wrote another article about the pause of menopause. And
Yes,
it's okay not to be going for it 24/7, push, push, push. Like lean
totally.
into the pause, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Do some reflection.
Mhm.
Take inventory and see what's working in your life, what
Mhm.
feels good, and try to learn to tune back into that intuition because it's literally been just brainwashed out of us. We've been taught not to trust ourselves. We're modeled everywhere to put our faith in things that are outside of us, like a doctor, a
Mhm.
teacher, a politician. I won't go there. All those things, like it's where we're really taught to distrust ourselves.
Right.
But we have so much wisdom within us. And I think like as women, there's this collective wisdom
Mhm.
and there's ancestral wisdom. I mean, if we
Yeah.
want to get into it, your mitochondria come from your mother. So
Yeah.
it's just like fascinating how the DNA and there's all of that wisdom, but we also have some trauma that comes along with
Mhm.
that,
Mhm.
generational trauma. And like for me, when I was going through my perimenopause, that was the stuff that threw me totally for a loop
Yeah.
because I mean, I felt like I was physically
Ah,
prepared,
yeah.
but I was not emotionally prepared.
No. No.
Not even close. So yeah.
There's so many levels around it, and it's interesting, the generational piece, because literally like what become I'm going to say this wrong, but you're the embryo that is you was in your mother when she was in her mother's womb, like, right?
Yes.
And it's so there is like you were literally in your grandmother's womb, so there is that connection there that I hadn't even thought about before. I can't
It's
remember if
pretty
it was
amazing.
Dr. Means or Dr. Haver who talks about that, but
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, for
it
sure.
it's not woo woo, our grandmothers
No,
before us Native
not at
American.
all.
It's like, no, physiologically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think the better we can understand ourselves, the better we can treat ourselves.
Yeah.
And the more grace we can show ourselves and, just insert it all here. It all just really falls into it.
Yeah.
And I think that as we're shifting into this stage of our lives, it's a time to definitely do an inventory,
Yep.
see what's working, see what's not, but also update some of your vision for your life.
Mhm.
Like maybe you thought whatever scenario was going to happen and that didn't happen, or it happened and it wasn't whatever you thought it was going to be, yet
Yeah.
you still, this part of your psyche is going to be pining for that
Yes.
or kind of waiting for that, but maybe whatever that is has shifted for you.
And yeah,
And that's the beautiful part of this time.
yeah. And if you
Yeah.
achieved it, you would be like, oh, okay.
Some of that, right? Isn't
Right?
that the thing? I know sometimes the anticipation,
Yeah.
but it's also, we look at the way we want to be continuing to age in our life. And I
Yeah.
don't think aging is a bad word.
No.
I would probably be considered an anti-aging person
Right.
because I'm thankful for the opportunity to age because
Yeah.
the alternative isn't all that great.
Exactly.
So I'm all for it. And I think that there is so much we can do and we can get
Yeah.
stronger, more
Yeah.
resilient, we can get sharper
Yeah.
with time. We don't have to buy into this narrative, just like they're trying to sell us about menopause as
Right.
us just, withering away.
Right.
We can get stronger and have a stronger bond in our community,
Yeah.
bring more wisdom out into the world. But we have to focus on it. It's
Yeah.
not just going to unfold like, oh, magic, here you are.
Yeah.
Like in a video game, you level up and you get to a
Yeah.
certain
Yeah.
thing and
Yeah.
you get all these stars or whatever.
No, no magical menopause ball of light. I
Wouldn't that
wish.
be cool? Maybe we could start one. But yeah, no.
Exactly.
It's I think it's just another one of those conversations that we're just not having,
Yeah.
and unfortunately I think, and I have to say this,
Mhm.
I really think that some of the conversation around menopause is doing more harm than good, especially when it's pre-framing like you're going to fall apart, your
Mhm.
body's going to, sag, all the negative,
Yeah.
or you're going to feel terrible, or you're just going to be a giant, flash of heat all the
Yeah.
time. Yeah, I think, if you're conditioned and you think these things are going to happen,
Mhm.
it's amazing how powerful the mind is. Not to say that those are not reality,
Yeah.
but many of those issues are because of insulin and cortisol
Mhm.
and, our high stress hormones.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily due to the shift in our sex hormones or
Right.
our progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone. So, not all hormones are not created equal, so to speak,
Yeah.
and we can't just blame it on certain ones. You've got to look at the whole picture. And that's what I specialize in.
Yeah.
I'm a big picture girl.
Yeah.
I'm all about let's see how it all fits in because, taken separately can really give you a skewed viewpoint.
That's a really good point. Like especially around the
Hmm.
cortisol, all of the points are good, but
Yeah,
and with the cortisol, if you're stressing about what might happen, it amps it up even more. So what
it
may or
really
may not
does.
come to pass most definitely will if all you're doing is worrying about what's going to happen.
Yes, yeah, because
Yeah.
that spikes your glucose,
Yeah.
and then that's got insulin coming. I mean, it's
Hmm.
just this train of everything chasing itself. But when we understand what's happening, and sometimes I find it interesting, my clients will say, now that I know what to expect,
Hmm.
I feel like if something like if I get a wave of something,
Hmm.
I can kind of breathe into it and
Yeah.
say, all right, what's going on right now? What am I thinking about? Have I eaten? Am I in a fasted state if they're doing fasting?
Yeah.
Have I taken a break lately? Like
Yeah.
all these things. It's no longer an external locus of
Right.
control, it's an internal one.
Right.
And it is such an empowering place to work from
Yeah.
instead of the dang, this is happening, and oh gosh, here this is going, and why can't I get a break?
Right.
And that parallels with our business, right?
For
It
sure.
parallels everything,
It parallels with
everything.
everything.
Hmm.
Now it's interesting to me, you mentioned at the beginning here that the first thing was metabolism, which yeah,
Oh, yes.
I don't even think I have one anymore.
You do, I promise. Yeah, because it's literally, but Vivica, it's the one thing I think we have
Yeah.
the most control over.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
it really is. There are different things we can do to stack the deck in our favor, but
Nice.
we have to look at it holistically again as well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because what worked before doesn't work anymore. I mean, I was just this morning talking to a friend of mine who unlike me who's been like this my whole life. She's been
Yeah.
thin her whole life and she hit 50 and
Okay.
she's premenopause
Hmm.
or perimenopause menopause and she just
Yeah.
cannot figure it out. So I'll
Yeah.
connect the two
It
of
it
you.
all shifts. Oh, please. Yes, let me help her before she goes years into it
Oh, and
because
the money she
honestly, like
spent.
the harder,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean,
Oh,
the money she has
really?
spent with
Oh,
this expert and this nutritionist and
yeah.
that, and it is so not one size fits all.
It's not. It's
No.
not, and there are a lot of great docs out there, and my background has always been holistic,
Mhm.
and
I love
and
that.
that is, I love that there's more conversation around it,
Yeah.
but I think some people really misuse the term, and
Mhm.
you have to involve the person with you. Like I have very deep conversations with my clients, and we turn over some of these rocks, so to speak,
Yeah.
and really discuss what's it like to be in their body.
Yeah.
What have they experienced? Because sometimes that is the missing piece. If
Yeah.
if we just look at labs, like
Right.
bunch of numbers,
Yeah.
right? It just and so what I do with my clients is really look at it all and say, okay, what is it like to be in your body now and
Mhm.
let's say 10 years ago?
Mhm.
And what major things have happened in your life or what
Yeah.
kind of disappointments or what kind of generational trauma? And then I, help them incorporate some mental health with another
Yeah.
professional if that's something they need. But all of that really, really fits together, and there's no way to separate them out. So I'm sorry your friend's struggling, but I'm so glad she was talking to you about it because sometimes we just really need to be heard
Yeah.
too, so we can listen to ourselves and again trust that innate knowledge of, all right, this feels right, or ooh, this. If there's a lot of resistance, there's a reason. There's a
Exactly.
reason.
Exactly. And what I want women and men to understand is
Yeah.
you don't have to give up just because what used to work for you doesn't work anymore. You're not
Yeah.
broken.
No,
You've just
not at
shifted
all. Yeah, you'll see tomorrow. My newsletter and on LinkedIn, which everyone, go ahead and find me there.
Yeah.
The newsletter, it's called Unconventional Wisdom
Yeah.
for a reason.
Yeah.
It's very unconventional, but it's so traditional and so like, baseline. But I talk about that tomorrow and almost every week. But the idea is you're not broken. We're just operating from a manual that literally was never written for women. I mean, the wellness industry has completely failed us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll admit, when I was starting out in practice, I was following conventional
Of
wisdom because
course.
I just learned all this stuff.
That's
Like,
what
I don't
they
know,
taught you.
it
Yeah.
was what I was taught.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I fought it and fought it and fought it for all the years. And then I realized, wow, there's a reason this isn't working for me.
Yeah.
It's not built for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not built for me.
It's
Yeah.
not, and it's funny, funny, not funny. My
Yeah.
husband Alan and I were having the conversation around this the other day because
Hmm.
I've had my own struggles, and
Yeah.
we'll just eat less and exercise harder, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that doesn't work for all women
Wrong.
or all
No, it
everybody,
doesn't.
you know.
Or really nobody, because our food, it's not just a calorie is not a
Yeah,
calorie.
right.
Dr. Robert Lustig does a great job about this. It's what that calorie does inside of you, or what
Mhm.
that food or substance does inside of you, because 0 calorie stuff, the 0 calorie, that stuff's almost the worst
That's
for our
the
hormones, and
Splendas
not
and
the
the
sex ones.
stevias and the
Ooh, what it
aspartames
does
and
to
oh
us.
my God.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, so and we can almost like starve ourselves and malnourish ourselves if we just do that calorie in, calorie out
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I
Yeah.
mean, that again, the conversation I was having with my friend earlier, she's like,
Mhm.
I'm eating 1,200 calories a day. And I'm like, you're probably not
Oh,
eating
no.
enough. And she's terrified to eat more. But
Yeah.
and she's eating healthy calories, but in the wrong way, at the wrong time, like in the wrong
All of the
combination.
things. Yeah.
There's so much that affects our metabolism. Which is
Yeah,
why
there
I
is,
love
and
what
that's
you
just why.
do. Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can't,
thank you.
I mean, you could write a book on this, of course, and you
Yeah.
should, and you might have already.
I thought I've started so many, how about
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
I just
but
keep getting distracted.
and what
Yeah.
your experience is that every woman, every person is so different. It isn't one size fits all.
No. And honestly, like, that's the part I love. I've always loved a mystery.
Yeah.
And I look at this like a metabolic
Yeah.
mystery, and I get to sit there. I need to learn how to do like an evil but a good laugh. But it's more, yeah, totally. Because I love it. When I first get on a call with someone, I have to like not smile too
Yeah.
much, because for me, it's like it's such a joy, and it is so much fun because I literally can see that person across the screen for
Mhm.
me and their life completely changing.
Yeah.
And I have that deep a belief because I've seen it
Yeah.
hundreds of
Yeah.
times, but I know that that person across from me doesn't quite believe it yet.
Right.
So that's a lot of is like building that trust and
Yes.
that love between two people,
Mhm.
like that agape love where
Yeah.
I can see it inside of you, and I
Yeah.
know that there's difference. And I want to help free people up from
Yeah.
all this focus on all that minutia that, I mean, my
It's
God, you have so many better things
exhausting.
to do. Completely.
Ugh.
And you hit it with like the money people spend and the
Mhm.
supplements and the this and the that. I mean, some things are beneficial, but vast majority is not necessary.
Yeah.
And if your metabolic system and your metabolic world was just focused on working, and it,
Mhm.
it had this vibe to it and this energy in and of itself, a lot of those external things can really start to level, it levels the playing field basically. And that's why I start there,
Yeah.
because if we go chase all the other things first,
Mhm.
I think you're missing it. This is like upstream thinking, like we
Mhm.
do for our
Mhm.
business. You have a problem, you go upstream and figure out what's causing that problem.
Right.
You don't just try to hammer out a solution at the level of the issue. You go upstream.
Yeah, it's
That's
like
what I do every day.
all of these drugs and medications and
Oh
operations
God.
that are focused on the itis, that are focused on the
Yes.
inflammation, and no one's looking at what's causing the inflammation. We're
Right.
looking at the
Right.
fat, we're looking at the exhaustion, we're looking at and we're not looking at what's causing those actual things. We're just trying to
Yes.
fix what's broken.
Yeah.
What
Well, because the metabolic stuff, there's no money in it. I
right.
mean, yeah, maybe some coaching, maybe a doctor's visit or
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
but it's food.
Yeah,
It's really food,
it's
the
food.
timing of the food, what that person needs, helping them heal.
Yep.
You can't really patent it, although people will try to say,
Oh, yeah.
here it's real food. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not real food.
Yeah.
I appreciate that you love your product, but it's not food.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think humans are built to eat meat, majority of us, and well, I think all humans are, but I understand that there are people that have some issue with that.
Yep.
Sometimes the issue people have with meat and it doesn't feel good to them
Mhm.
is because their stomach acid isn't good, their
Mhm.
microbiome isn't good.
Mhm.
So maybe once that stuff gets healed and we help them start digesting meat, when they can digest it, they're like, "Oh my God, where you been all my
Yeah,
life?" You
exactly,
know?
exactly.
And good fats, like we grew up, don't eat fat, non-fat, low fat. I
Yeah.
mean, I used to choke down rice cakes at a
Oh my
track meet
gosh,
with skim
so many
milk.
rice cakes.
I mean, it just like I mean, I could literally almost throw up in my throat a little bit when I think about how gross that was. But here, that's what I knew.
Yep,
No fat, low fat, that's the way to
yep,
go. Now
exactly.
I have a 180 on it, a 180.
Yeah.
And everyone's different. Like I've
Mhm.
got some clients that we focus in on, primarily looking at more of a meat-based
Mhm.
dietary, way of eating as they're starting to heal.
Yep,
Others, we do a lot of variety. Some can't handle the variety.
right.
Some can't handle the plants.
Yeah,
And it's what's going on in their system right now.
yeah.
And I always remind them, this is right now. This
This is
isn't
right
forever.
now, this is not
Yeah,
6 months from now, this is not a year from now.
right.
Yeah,
Right. And I want to teach them how to know their body and trust their body so they can do this on their own. I
right.
mean, as much as I love my clients and I stay in touch with as many as I can, I don't want them dependent on me.
No.
I want them dependent on them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
I
want to
feel very
fire your
powerful about it.
clients. You wanna be able to say, "You're healed. Go and live your
I
life."
tell them, I'm releasing you into
I
the
release
wild.
you into the
Now
wild.
go. Yeah, and let me know how it's going and
Yeah,
remember your toolkit. Like
yeah,
we create a toolkit, each and every person, I'm their co-pilot in this, but they're square in the pilot seat
yeah,
or driver's seat or CEO, whatever label.
yeah,
They're the person. So I mean, it's like they borrow from me my confidence at
yeah,
first, but then that's what I'm really building is like, here, this is how the body works.
mhm,
Let's see how that applies to you. And then this is how this part of the body works, and
yeah,
this is how your brain is doing things, and this is how food influences this, this, and this.
yeah,
Now I want you to
yeah,
feel what that is like for you.
yeah,
And let's test it.
yeah,
Like just like with your kids, you want them to kind of run up against some challenges while they're
yeah,
still under your roof so they can have your guidance. The same with my clients.
yeah,
I'm like, let's try this out for a little bit, see how that feels. And sometimes they're like, oh man, I don't know. And then they come back and say, that was the best thing ever. I didn't know I could feel that good. I'm like, I did. I knew you could. I see it every day. I
yeah.
know what's possible.
I love
And it's
that.
it's just like in business. You can absolutely accomplish
Mhm,
anything. Got to give it enough time.
mhm,
You have to have the right advisement, and we are not a lone wolf thing doesn't work in business. It
no,
doesn't work in health either.
exactly.
Humans are not lone wolves. We're pack animals.
Yeah,
We need each other.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, you have an amazing blog. I love your blog on LinkedIn.
Thank you.
Where else can people learn about you? Where should they go to find out more?
Yeah, oh, thank you. I think LinkedIn is by far the place that I am the most active. I'm not on any of the real other social media. I have a presence, but I'm not really there. And then my website at drsamgraber.com. We're going to be kind of revamping that a bit. My developer is learning a new program, so he's helping me there. So this one I have now will get you to the blog, the podcast, my YouTube channel. I'm going to be adding some more items there. But if you want to go to the website and go to the contact form and just say, hey, I saw you on Gray Matters, something, maybe pinpoint something that really struck a chord, and let's open a conversation. I'm all about the conversations.
And Sam's super generous with
Yeah.
her time. We have had many
Thank you.
conversations. And
Yeah.
yeah, if you've got questions, I would say 100% feel open and free to reach out to Sam. Dr. Sam.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Vivka. This has been really fun, and we did a good job staying on target.
I know we did.
We could have gone on so many different tangents,
So
and
many.
thank you all for watching and the opportunity to talk to your audience. And yeah, reach out anytime.
Thank you so much, and we'll see everybody next week.